Ever wondered how chatbots work? How they manage to answer your queries almost instantly? Let's embark on a journey to unravel this mystery. Chatbots, also known as conversational agents, are software applications that mimic written or spoken human speech for the purposes of simulating a conversation or interaction with a real person. In today's digital age, chatbots are increasingly becoming an integral part of our daily lives. From answering customer queries on business websites to helping you order your favorite meal, these AI-powered marvels are everywhere. They've become the new interface of the internet, bridging the gap between humans and machines. Chatbots are not just about automating tasks, they're about enriching user experiences. They can serve as personal assistants, customer service representatives, and even as friends when you're feeling a tad bit lonely. They are designed to interact with us in the most human-like manner to provide us with valuable services while saving time and resources. But how do they do it? How do they understand us and respond in such an intuitive manner? The answer lies in their intricate design and sophisticated programming. They're powered by artificial intelligence, and more specifically, a branch of it called natural language processing. This allows them to understand, analyze, and generate human language in a valuable way. However, building a chatbot is no easy task. It requires a deep understanding of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and natural language processing. But don't be intimidated. With the right tools, resources, and a sprinkle of patience, you too can build your own chatbot. In this series, we'll walk you through the process of building a simple AI chatbot from scratch. We'll delve into the various components, the logic, the coding, and even the testing process. So, whether you're a seasoned programmer looking to venture into AI or a curious mind wanting to understand how chatbots work, this tutorial is for you. So without further ado, we venture into the fascinating world of chatbots. Before embarking on the creation journey, it's crucial to understand the key components that make up a chatbot. Essentially, there are three main parts to a chatbot: the user interface, natural language processing, and the back-end logic. Firstly, the user interface, or UI, is the part of the chatbot that interacts directly with the user. This is the text box where the user types in their queries, or the voice recognition system that listens to spoken commands. It's the facade of the chatbot, the part that the users see and interact with. Next, we have natural language processing, or NLP. This is the brain of the chatbot that interprets what the user is saying or typing. It takes the raw input from the user, breaks it down, and tries to understand the intent behind it. This is where the magic of AI comes in, allowing the chatbot to understand human language in a way that feels natural and intuitive. Lastly, we have the back-end logic. This is the part of the chatbot that decides what to do once it has interpreted the user's input. It's the decision maker, the part that decides which response to give or which action to take based on what it has understood from the user's input. This could be as simple as pulling up a predefined response from a database, or as complex as making a decision based on sophisticated AI algorithms. Together, these three components form the heart and soul of a chatbot. The user interface provides a way for the user to interact with the chatbot, the natural language processing interprets what the user is saying, and the back-end logic decides what to do with that information. Each component is crucial in its own way, and understanding how they all fit together is the first step towards creating your own chatbot. With a grasp of these components, you're well on your way to creating your chatbot. So let's roll up our sleeves and dive into the world of chatbot development. Now we'll set the stage for our chatbot creation by setting up the development environment. The first tool in our toolkit is Python, a powerful and versatile programming language that is a favorite among developers in the AI community. Python is easy to learn, incredibly flexible, and has a vast collection of libraries that make it the perfect tool for our chatbot creation. Next, we'll need to install some Python libraries that will help us build our chatbot. The first one is NLTK, short for Natural Language Toolkit. This library is a leading platform for building Python programs that work with human language data. It provides easy-to-use interfaces to many corpora and lexical resources, along with a suite of text processing libraries for classification, tokenization, stemming, tagging, parsing, and semantic reasoning. Another important library we'll use is Flask, a lightweight web application framework. It is designed to make getting started quick and easy with the ability to scale up to complex applications. It will help us build the back end of our chatbot, taking care of things like routing requests and rendering templates. To install these libraries, you'll need to use pip, which is a package manager for Python. You can install NLTK by typing pip install NLTK in your terminal or command prompt. Similarly, you can install Flask by typing pip install Flask. Remember to check if your Python and pip versions are up to date before installing these libraries. Once you have Python, NLTK, and Flask installed and ready to go, you've successfully set up your development environment. With these tools in your arsenal, you're fully equipped to start building your AI chatbot. But remember, the tools are only as good as the craftsman. So, take some time to familiarize yourself with Python, NLTK, and Flask. Explore their documentation, play around with their features, and get comfortable. With the environment ready, we move on to the exciting part. The user interface is the chatbot's first contact point with users. This is where the magic happens, where conversations unfold, and where your chatbot gets to shine. So, how do we create this magic? We'll start by conjuring up a simple yet effective chat interface using the popular web languages, HTML and CSS. Imagine a clean, minimalistic chat box, the kind that invites you to type in a question or a comment. This is what we're going to build. Let's start with HTML, the backbone of our interface. We'll need a container for the chat, an area for the messages to appear, and a text box for user input, each defined by their respective HTML tags. Now let's bring in CSS to breathe life into our HTML structure. CSS, or cascading style sheets, is the fairy godmother that transforms our plain HTML Cinderella into a beautiful princess. It controls the layout, color scheme, typography, and other visual elements. A light background contrasting text colors, rounded corners for the chat bubbles, a scrolling area for the messages. All these details contribute to a user-friendly interface. But we're not just building an interface that looks good, it also needs to feel good to use. So we'll make sure the chat box is responsive, meaning it adjusts to different screen sizes and devices. This is crucial in today's multi-device world. Finally, we'll link this interface to our Python backend using Flask, a micro-web framework. Flask will help us receive the user's input, process it in the backend, and display the chatbot's response in our interface. And voila! We've created a simple chat interface for our chatbot. But this is just the beginning. With HTML and CSS, you can create any design you envision, adding your unique touch to your chatbot. Next, we'll make this interface intelligent. We'll dive into natural language processing, the component that enables our chatbot to understand and respond to user input. Stay tuned as we bring our chatbot to life. Natural language processing, or NLP, is what makes a chatbot understand users. Essentially, it's the element that enables our chatbot to comprehend and make sense of the human language. But how does it work? Let's dive in. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend. You don't just hear the words they say, you understand the context, the sentiment, and the intent. That's what we want our chatbot to do. We'll be using the NLTK, or Natural Language Toolkit, a Python library specifically designed for working with human language data. It's loaded with easy-to-use interfaces for tasks like tokenization, stemming, tagging, parsing, semantic reasoning, and more. To start, we'll tokenize the user's input. Tokenization is the process of breaking up the input into smaller pieces, called tokens. These tokens help the chatbot to understand the structure of sentences and the meaning of individual words. Next, we need to help our chatbot understand the context. This is where we use a process called stemming. Stemming helps the chatbot to understand the root form of words, allowing it to recognize different forms of the same word. But understanding the words isn't enough. Our chatbot also needs to understand the intent behind the words. Is the user asking a question, making a statement, expressing a feeling? This is where tagging comes in, where we categorize words based on their function in a sentence. And finally, we use a process called parsing. Parsing helps the chatbot to understand the grammatical structure of a sentence, allowing it to interpret the user's input accurately. So there you have it. We've just given our chatbot the ability to understand our language. It can now comprehend user inputs, understand the context and intent, and respond appropriately. But understanding is just one part of the conversation. The chatbot now understands you, but how does it respond? The back-end logic, or the brain of the chatbot, dictates how it responds. This is where the magic happens, where we breathe life into our creation. Now let's dive in and develop the back-end logic of our chatbot. Firstly, we need to define the responses. These are the replies our chatbot will give to user inputs. For instance, if a user asks, "What's the weather like?" our chatbot could respond with, "I'm sorry, I can't provide weather updates at the moment." It's essential to create a wide array of responses for diverse user queries, making the chatbot versatile and user-friendly. Secondly, we integrate AI models. This is what sets an AI chatbot apart from a simple rule-based chatbot. By integrating AI models, our chatbot will not just match user inputs with predefined responses, but also understand the context and sentiment of the conversation. This can be achieved by using machine learning and natural language processing techniques. Now, onto managing the conversation flow. This involves tracking the user's journey through the chatbot interaction. For example, if a user asks about a product's price and then its features, the chatbot should remember the context of the conversation. This makes the conversation feel natural and coherent, enhancing the user experience. Remember, the back-end logic is the heart and soul of our chatbot. It's what makes the chatbot responsive, intelligent, and engaging. It's the part of the chatbot that the user interacts with, but never sees. It's like the wizard behind the curtain, pulling the strings and making the magic happen. As with any development process, iteration is key. We'll need to continuously refine and optimize our back-end logic, ensuring our chatbot remains efficient, accurate, and user-friendly. But remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will our chatbot. It's a process of trial and error, learning, and most importantly, having fun. With the brain in place, it's time to test our creation. Let's see how our chatbot interacts and responds to user queries, and whether it's ready to take on the world. Testing ensures our chatbot functions as expected. Imagine the chatbot as a new product hitting the market. It must be tested rigorously to ensure it meets the needs of its users. The same principle applies here. Let's start with some simple tests. We'll input a variety of questions and statements to see how our chatbot responds. Remember, the goal is to ensure our chatbot understands the user's intent and responds appropriately. So we might start with a simple greeting like, "Hello." Our chatbot should respond with a greeting of its own. We can then move on to more complex inputs, ask it about the weather, query it about a movie, or even tell it a joke. The more diverse our testing, the better we can gauge its performance. Along the way, we may encounter bugs or issues. This is normal. In fact, it's a good thing. Every bug we find and fix makes our chatbot stronger. When we encounter a bug, we'll need to dive into our code and find the source of the issue. Was it a problem with our natural language processing? Perhaps our chatbot didn't understand the user's intent. Or maybe the issue lies in our back-end logic. Did our chatbot understand the question but provide an incorrect response? Debugging can be a bit like detective work. We're hunting for clues, trying to piece together what went wrong. It can be tricky, but it's also incredibly rewarding. With each bug we squash, we're improving our chatbot, making it smarter, more reliable, and more helpful to its users. This process of testing and debugging isn't a one-time thing. It's cyclical. We test, we find bugs, we fix them, and then we test again. Each cycle brings us closer to a chatbot that we can be proud of, one that truly understands and assists its users. Once satisfied with the chatbot's performance, we move on to deployment. Deployment is the final stage, making the chatbot accessible to users. This process involves hosting our chatbot online, which can be likened to moving into a new home. The chatbot, once confined within our local development environment, now gets its own address on the internet, ready to greet and interact with users from all over the world. Firstly, we need to decide where to host our chatbot. There are numerous cloud service providers out there, such as Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, each with its own strengths and unique offerings. It's like choosing a neighborhood that suits your needs and budget. Once we've picked our cloud service provider, we'll need to set up an environment for our chatbot. This is akin to building a house. Depending on the provider, we may need to configure a server or set up a platform service. This environment is where our chatbot will live and run its operations. After setting up the environment, we'll move our chatbot into its new home. This involves uploading our code and dependencies to the cloud, a process often referred to as pushing the code. It's like moving furniture and personal belongings into a new house. Finally, we need to make sure everything is working properly. We'll start our chatbot and test it in its new environment. We'll check if it's responding correctly, and if there are any issues, we'll troubleshoot and fix them. This is similar to doing a final walkthrough after moving into a new house, ensuring everything is in its place and functioning as expected. With all these steps completed, our chatbot is now ready to welcome visitors. Users can interact with the chatbot from any part of the world at any time. It's a moment of achievement seeing our creation go live and start interacting with users. The chatbot is now live and ready for interaction. It's been a journey from understanding the components of a chatbot, setting up the environment, building, testing, and finally deploying it. But the end result is worth it, a fully functional AI chatbot ready to engage and assist users around the clock. Interacting with your chatbot gives you first-hand experience of its capabilities. This is the moment where you get to see all your hard work come to life. Your chatbot, now live and capable of interacting with users, is ready to answer questions, provide information, and maybe even share a joke or two. As you engage with your chatbot, observe how it handles your queries. Does it understand the intent behind your questions? Is it providing relevant and accurate responses? Remember, the goal of a chatbot is to mimic human conversation as closely as possible, so it should be able to understand and respond in a natural conversational manner. Don't be surprised if your chatbot doesn't understand everything right off the bat. Natural language processing is a complex field, and even the most advanced AI doesn't always get it right. If your chatbot stumbles, don't despair. This is a learning opportunity, a chance to refine and improve your creation. When testing, try a variety of inputs. Ask simple questions, complex queries, and even throw in some nonsense to see how it handles unexpected input. This will help you identify any weaknesses in your chatbot's language model and give you a sense of how well it's able to manage conversations. As you interact with your chatbot, don't forget about its back-end logic. Is it managing the conversation flow as expected? Is it maintaining context between different user inputs? These are important aspects to consider when assessing your chatbot's performance. Remember, building a chatbot is not a one-time task. It's an iterative process that requires continuous learning and improvement. The more you interact with your chatbot, the better you'll understand its strengths and weaknesses, and the better equipped you'll be to refine it over time. While it's a job well done, the journey doesn't end here. Your chatbot, like any AI, is a work in progress. It's time to take the insights from your interaction, roll up your sleeves, and continue refining your chatbot. After all, the beauty of AI lies in its ability to learn and improve. Building your chatbot is just the beginning. The beauty of artificial intelligence is its limitless potential for growth and adaptation. Now that you have a basic chatbot up and running, consider the ways you could customize it, adding more features and enhancing its capabilities. Think of your chatbot as a living entity. It's not a static piece of software. It can learn, grow, and evolve. How? By continually feeding it more data and refining its algorithms. This process, known as machine learning, enables your chatbot to become smarter and more efficient over time. Customization is another exciting next step. Your chatbot can be tailored to fit your specific needs or those of your users. Want to add a feature that allows your chatbot to handle customer service inquiries? Or maybe you'd like it to perform complex calculations or give personalized recommendations. With the right programming, the possibilities are endless. And don't forget about the user experience. A chatbot that's easy to navigate and enjoyable to interact with will be more effective and well received. Experiment with different interfaces, conversation flows, and response styles. Remember, the goal is not just to create a chatbot that works, but one that works well. Finally, consider how you can enhance your chatbot's capabilities. Maybe you want to integrate it with other applications or platforms. Or perhaps you'd like to incorporate voice recognition technology. Again, with the right skills and resources, you can do it. It's also important to keep testing and improving your chatbot. Regularly gather feedback from users and make adjustments as necessary. Remember, the more you fine-tune your chatbot, the better it will perform. In conclusion, your journey into chatbot development doesn't stop here. There's always something new to learn, a feature to add, a bug to fix, or an enhancement to make. The world of artificial intelligence is vast and ever-evolving. Keep experimenting, keep creating, and see where your chatbot journey takes you.